Hi there, welcome to this channel. I'm Jen Strickland, and I started a program called Body by Design Total Transformation Coaching Program. And we have somebody very special here today. You're going to have an incredible opportunity to hear from one of the most inspiring people in my life. She has been on an extraordinary journey of self-discovery, overcoming past habits, and transforming her lifestyle. Most recently, she was a client in Voyage One of my Body by Design program, and but her journey started long before that. She has faced challenges that would make most people give up, but she persevered and she emerged stronger in the end. I have no doubt that you're going to be able to identify with certain aspects of her story and be inspired by her resilience and dedication. So please welcome the most influential person in my life, my mom, Jewel. All right, let's bring you in here. There we go. We're both on here now. All right, so Mom, welcome. I want to share a bigger picture of your story beyond just our program because it's so real and raw, and it helps others to understand that weight loss isn't just about a short-term diet and what the next fad diet is and just on the constant diet train,
Mm.
right? It requires a long-term lifestyle shift, especially when there's emotional trauma and ingrained habits and significant weight loss goals are involved. So let's start at the very beginning. And we're talking like at your top weight. Your top weight was like 415 pounds, I think. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So what was life like at this weight? Did you have like what was it like for you?
It was miserable. I could not sleep in a bed. I have a lazy boy recliner that goes to, I think they call it sub-zero or something, where you can lay flat. And then I would pop the up button, and the momentum would help me get out of the chair to go to the bathroom. Or every morning, the first thought I had was, what do I get to eat? That was it. That
Wow.
was my life. And I would eat so much, I'd go in a food coma and sleep and just escape from life. And everybody around me was miserable too and freaked out. They didn't want to come in and find me dead. And I was miserable and mean. Hurting people hurt other people, especially the ones you love. It was awful.
Oh.
And the
Well, I
pain was unbearable.
Oh, yes, I know. I remember those days just being so challenging for you, and we didn't know what to do to help. So I know you had a lot of different thoughts and fears and stuff during that time. What exactly were you experiencing?
Um, I was afraid of everything. I was in fear. And I know for 4 years, I was changing from menopause to postmenopause,
Hmm.
and I was bleeding clumps. And I guess those are thyroids or whatever they're called, blood clots. And that bleeding 4 years nonstop. It was just awful. And then my colon was and digestion was so messed up that, and I ate so bad that if I had to go number two, I barely make it to the bathroom, much less try to drive somewhere, like going to the doctor's office. I was homebound for years. So,
Wow. Yes, that made it pretty much impossible to just, feel like you had any sort of normal life or hope for a normal life, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Well, did you ever get to a point where, you had thoughts of, that the world would be a better place without you, things like that? I know you had shared some of that with me. Do you want to share? I know that's a very sensitive topic, but I think plenty of our viewers have probably had similar thoughts in that place.
It started when I was 15.
Mm.
Um, when I was 10, the hormones kicked in and I had no energy. I remember taking naps starting at 10 years old during the day. Before then, I played baseball. I was just everywhere, soccer, just always on the go, outside. Um, but so it started there, and depression was just awful. And then my first marriage, your dad, bless his heart, he was 6 months younger than me, and he always made a point of reminding me that I was the old one. And
By how many years?
6 months.
Okay. Okay.
But when we were married, I was in the 11th grade and he was in the 10th grade, so that made it kind of worse. Um, anyway, and he, in his head, I was fat because I had a pear shape, and so that was in my head. And after your birth, when I was in my early 20s, and then your sister's birth a year later, and then your brother 5 years later, I gained more and more weight. I'd push my stomach out and eat more because I wanted to look pregnant. Oh, that was a bad habit.
Oh,
But
so you had a lot of these thoughts just over the years that kind of compounded
yes,
and just kind of cycled through your mind.
yes.
Yeah.
And my mother was, um, mom and dad had a lot of problems. Mom was raised very abusively. And so that goes on to the next generation. And my dad, he was an alcoholic and just a lot of stuff. I mean, people have a lot of stuff they have to deal with. I wasn't an exception, but it's the way I handled it that made things worse. And the dirty words I'd hear, uh, I would say that to myself. And I didn't realize it was the enemy, spiritual enemy, saying all these things, but I thought it was me.
Mm,
And I got when I to the point when I was, well, I guess after you kids left home, the empty nest um, syndrome, I guess, I got very depressed. And those thoughts of suicide came back really strong. And I got in worse health and got heavier. And yes, before 2016, when I finally went to FAA, found out about something that could help.
mm,
Um, I was, what is it, idolation, or I can't think of the word, where I was constantly thinking, how would this not hurt my kids if I just took my own life? And how can it be the best? Do I go in the shower, take one of your dad's guns, and stand a certain way where the blood wouldn't go everywhere?
wow. So
Uh,
it got so bad you were visualizing like all
yes.
the ways. Okay. Yeah, and I appreciate you sharing all of this because you're other people are going through the same thing. They've
Mm,
allowed the thoughts to compound to and then the life experiences, the changes, the grief, and all of it just becomes so much, right?
mhm.
So so at this point, you were talking about some of the limitations to your physical experience. You were literally confined to, like, to your room, to your home, right? You could,
Hmm.
I guess you could get out and get into the car to go places, but you were in pretty tough shape. So what was that like, just feeling so confined?
Well, in one way, it was cool because when I was a kid, I used to watch Dark Shadows, and the lady, mm, I can't even think of her name, but she was a recluse and she never left Collinwood, the mansion, the new house. And I thought, ooh, that's kind of interesting, kind of cool. So I don't know, that got planted. But, you know, I'd see people doing things with their family and the kids talking about it. And I just felt so bad for our whole family and
Hmm.
how everybody had to have this big dead weight that was holding them back.
Oh,
So
well, I never heard you relate it to Dark Shadows, but that's interesting. I think that
I
was
didn't
probably
plan. I didn't plan on saying that, but
no, that's okay. So that was an old, like, evening soap opera, right? Type of
oh,
thing.
it was the afternoon. I'd run home from school. I wouldn't go to clubs on Wednesday
Yeah.
so I could get some of Dark Shadows and sometimes be sick from school so I could watch it. I watch it now. I've seen some now and I'm like, oh, that stuff was awful.
What were they allowing me to watch? Right? Yeah, so I think that was probably part of a coping mechanism for you to try to relate it to something that felt a little bit, you know, had a
Cozy.
romanticized,
Yeah.
yeah, feel to it. So that is so interesting. So I remember you trying so many different diets and all kinds of things over time that, as I remember you also telling me, don't go on a diet because you'll gain it all back plus 10 pounds. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
You know, in the early 90s, I did go to Jenny Craig,
Hmm.
and I had been the upper 300s and got down to almost 200 pounds for my 20th high school reunion. And and then I just, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know there was a maintenance. Uh, it's like you're on a diet and then you can go back eating like you did before. I didn't know.
Yes. Okay. So we're gonna get into all like from it's like from after Jenny Craig, because I know that you weren't at 415 pounds when you got down to 200 then, right? So this is
Mm-mm.
like in the future. And you were on what all diets were you on? What's all the things that you tried?
Maybe the better question is, what didn't I try?
Tried everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And at some point you probably just felt like this is it's time to give up. Like this, nothing is going to work.
I know. I would be in worse shape after, afterwards.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
mean, it was fun from going to lost weight and being able to eat all the stuff you were craving,
Mm-hmm.
but that's stupid.
Yeah, because look where it lands you. It just makes you feel worse, right? So, and that's some of the things that we deal with in our program, but and we'll talk a little bit more about that. Um, so when you were at your highest weight, you were dealing with some other things from your doctor, from your psychiatrist. They put you on Adderall, and how did that affect you physically and emotionally, being on that medication? I know a lot of people are getting on it even when they are not ADHD, because it's an ADHD medication, right?
I'm not sure what it is, but I had never, you know, I think I took a couple puffs of marijuana, but I never was on drug. drugs, illegal drugs.
Yeah.
But this one, oh my gosh, I was seeing things and acting weird um
Mm.
and I was given this before had lap I was going to have lap band surgery where they put a hole in your side and then fill your stomach with some kind of liquid and you do this diet and all this weird stuff. But I knew myself well enough that so when I stop eating the way they say to eat or get sick of going there, I'm stuck with a hole in my side and this need to have liquid inserted every week or so, plus being obese again.
Mm.
Or morbidly obese, as they call it. And then I think at 400, I was severely morbidly obese.
Wow.
So,
Yeah, and a lot of people do go through bariatric type surgery. There's all different types, and they end up gaining a lot of their weight back. We've had people in some of our programs that have come because they're just like, I gained my weight back after surgery, right? Yeah.
mhm.
So that was very wise of you to, be thinking about that. So
Thank goodness.
yeah. So before we get into some of the major things that changed in your life that got you to where you are right now, um, I just want to kind of bring this part up is like, how does it feel now that you're able to travel and experience life more fully?
I've been given a second chance at life. Um, the aging process is reversing. I turned 70 in May, and I looked older when I was 60. And these last 10 years have been a roller coaster because I
Mm,
finally found out some things to do and don't do and what worked and what didn't. And I'm excited. I have a vision board. Um, I have goals and I'm doing things I never thought I could do before because of my self-esteem. And it's like in the back of my head, why would somebody listen to you when you are preaching all this sounds like good stuff, but they're looking at me thinking, I don't want to be her.
mm.
So,
Yeah, and those are some of the self-doubts that we have, even no matter where we are with our health, because we have to start changing that mindset before we get there. Otherwise, when we make strides and changes in our lifestyle and our journey and even lose weight, we can still have those same thoughts that are running through our heads. And that's where a lot of people have challenges with that, just like, oh, I have to change my mindset now and accept myself now before, going through this journey. So, okay. So let's start with there were some major things that really changed things for you. And so we're going to talk about some of the things that you did from Food Addicts Anonymous. You mentioned that FAA is Food Addicts Anonymous. And there were some, the biggest transformation program, let me see, and then a couple of other transformation programs, one called the 10-day Rev Up. And these were all really similar, but the FAA program is a little bit different. And it really kind of changed some things for you right there. It's like kind of your pivot point, I think, in your life. So you started Food Addicts Anonymous or FAA in December of 2016. You were at 416 pounds and you lost 216 pounds, reaching 200-pound weight loss during that time. So, what are the key highlights of that journey from you? I know you learned a lot in the program, and you mentioned walking a life of forgiveness. So, what are the key highlights and how this impacted your journey?
um, a nurse came to my home and she was so cute. She had on a soft pink nurse's uniform and a pretty scarf around her neck. And I said, "You are so beautiful." And she looked surprised and she said, "Oh, well, here's a picture of me 6 months ago." And it was this frumpy, pudgy, sad looking, plain Hispanic lady. And I said, "Oh, I thought you were showing me a picture of your mom." And she said, "No." And I said, "Okay, tell me what you did." And she talked to me about FAA and she gave me a telephone number. And so I called them the next morning, and it was just kind of a different way of doing things. But what it is it's worldwide. Anybody can call, and you basically call at least once a day and have a meeting each day. It's based on Alcoholics Anonymous, but a lot of AA people are in it because they have weight problems too. And what really stuck out, they had a an eating plan, um, and they went through the 12-step. Um, what's it called? A 12-step plan that you finally get into. And basically, you're getting right with the God of your understanding. And so, most people with addictions are miserable. They don't know how to get out of it. And they are so angry at everybody. Uh, People that have hurt you and people that you have hurt. And so, my sponsor, you just pick one. It's kind of a scary thing. Oh, well, I have to ask somebody, and are they going to say, um, yes, I'd like to sponsor you? But a lot of times they said, no, I'm sorry, I got this, and this.
Yeah, and that's just something you learn as part of that program,
Yeah.
right?
But my sponsor that finally was, I got, she said, she walked me through all the 12 steps. And basically, I had to write down everybody that had hurt me. And then I had to write down everybody I'd hurt. And then I had to tell God I was sorry for being mad at him, blaming him for everything. He loved me the most, so I was the meanest to him. And we worked through that to where you pick the biggest trees in your forest of hatred and misery, and you just there's ways to go about it and to kind of dissect it a bit without going nuts or overthinking. And for instance, my ex-husband and his precious wife, um, I had to write a letter and apologize to them for being a bitch, which I was.
I don't think I can
And
beat that out, but
well,
no, it's
it's a
okay.
lesser bad word. Uh, and that was just so healing writing that letter. And then I
Mhm.
sent him. And
Right.
what was so wonderful, I told him why I was doing this. Uh, and whether they did anything to me or not. But a few months later, your daughter, our first granddaughter, uh, got married, and all of us, me, my husband, your dad, and his wife, were all there.
Oh, I got
And
to
it was
celebrate that.
such a miracle. It was wonderful.
Wow, that's amazing. So the Food Addicts Anonymous program is really good for working through some of those traumas and stuff, and it's a free program. The food plan is a little bit probably needs to be updated to current science, But if that's an area where somebody wants to start, that's something that's easy to look up on Google. Just go and Google it and find that and work through some of that. So we have some aspects of what my mom just explained, some kind of more of a not as deep or as extensive inside of some of our transformation programs. And you'll see some of that there. But like if you need a big deep dive, then that's a pretty good place to go long term if you'd like. So what was now at the end of your weight loss with FAA, you decided to have skin removal surgery. What was that like for you, that experience?
Oh, that was a highlight because I was going, well, I still am, University Health in San Antonio, Texas. And it's they're wonderful. They help you financially too. And but when I got to a certain weight, and for people with diabetes or medically trained people, they know what an A1C is.
Mm.
And that's a number they get from your lab tests. And mine was 5.2. And so I was able to have 13 pounds of belly fat that hung down to my knees removed. Oh, that was just such a incentive to keep on.
That was major surgery for you. It took a long time to
Hmm.
recover from that too, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But with eating better foods,
Hmm.
uh, in FAA, we didn't have to exercise. Um, but so anyway,
As we progress, right?
yes,
Yeah. So that surgery, one of the reasons that I mean, besides being as heavy as you were, you also had three C-sections. Is that correct?
yes, and a gallbladder removal and a hernia, ingroinal hernia repair.
Yeah. And I remember the scars. You had like one on top, one down the middle, one on the bottom, and those were just the C-sections.
Yes.
Yeah, so there was a lot of damage done just from cutting you open multiple times. So
Mm.
yeah, I think that just caused a little more problem with the structure of everything going on there, and probably a lot of the recovery and the weight gain and everything came from that too. So okay, so let's move on to like your next steps. So in January 2023. Now I know after FAA, you had gained some weight back. So you did gain some weight back between these programs, some of these programs, but you kept going. So in January 2023, you joined my coach, Carmen O'Quinn, in her biggest transformation program, which is on YouTube, and that's a pretty fun program. She gives a lot of mindset tips and cooking tips and things like that. But that's where I saw a weight loss of 93 pounds for me. And I saw how effective it was for so many people. So I invited my mom to jump in there and join Carmen in one of her programs for 6 months. And you lost 100 pounds in that 6 months, right?
Yes.
Well, I have, okay, 100 pounds in 6 months. Was it that much in 6 months or was it? I
Well,
didn't double
that
check.
December, the December before when I joined, I was 330. And
Okay.
by the time it started in January, just from the bulk of what I was eating, I was 280 pounds, 280, I think, something like that.
Okay, in a month.
Yeah, I was eating a tremendous lot amount because I was like coma foods and eating out all the time.
Okay, so that's 330 to 280. That's 50 pounds in a month.
Hmm.
Okay.
That's what I remember.
We
So,
might have our numbers a little bit off, but we
well,
know what your
maybe.
final weight is. Yeah.
But I know Carmen said I lost 80 pounds.
80
So that
pounds.
would be 20.
in
20
her.
pounds. Yeah, in the interview she did with me
Okay.
afterwards.
Okay. So 80 pounds in somewhere around six, depending on how long it was after her program ended that she did the interview with you. So
Yeah.
it was a significant amount. So
Yes.
yeah. So so what did you notice was different about her program from what you've done before?
Carmen is so excited and happy, and I mean, you just can't resist being happier around her. And but she told me, I'm not going to be your best friend. I'm your coach, and I will say and do what I have to do because you're not paying me oh, you sweetheart. No, she would just tell it like it is. Uh, she was she was who I needed at that time. And seeing what you had been through, and oh, Jennifer, you started helping me like in November of 2022. I could hardly think straight. And you really helped me do the uh, uh, what is it? Biggest
Oh,
transformation
all the
stuff.
things that you have to do to get rolling. Yeah.
Yes, you really held
So,
my hand and helped me a lot. I couldn't have done it without you.
yeah. The brain fog is real when you are,
Oh gosh,
yeah, when you're
yes,
having like a lot of sugar, a lot of carbs, and just imbalanced in your A1Cs and blood sugar, and things are all over the place. The brain fog is incredible, and it does go away, doesn't it?
yes, especially in the mornings. Now, closer
Right.
to bedtime, I'm like,
Yeah, but with time of straightening out your diet and your lifestyle habits, I know that your mentors in that program started to see a change within 2 weeks. Like they were like, wow, you're thinking more clearly now within 2 weeks. So that's pretty amazing. Now, as part of that program, you had to work out. You were required to work out 6 days a week. So how
mm.
did you manage to work out seriously while dealing with these physical challenges?
Well, I saw the change in you. I saw the change in Wendy, one of your best friends, and I just didn't think about it. I just did it. I knew in my past, my modus operandi, my MO was to go for the gold and kill myself. And then I was messed up. I would be so sore and hurt from one exercise routine that I couldn't do anymore. And I never had anything that was um, consistent. Consistent is a big word.
Yes, it is.
And so I did it. And that body by design, or now they call it body, BODI, those routines I was able to do. Just put it on my smart TV. Of course, I couldn't have done that unless you did it for me. Uh, and showed me how every day just do that workout.
Yeah,
And Saturday, you 6 days on, 1 day mandatory off of rest. Um, I could do it. It amazing. That built my confidence a lot, and I started feeling better. Besides eating right.
right. Yeah. So yeah, so Body is it's a program like that you can subscribe to, and they have all these different kinds of workouts and stuff. It's one that I recommend my clients go to because they lay it out so nicely. They have professional fitness coaches that build upon each day what your workout is, and you start at different levels and all of that. So I do recommend that. I still use it myself. I really love it. So, and if that's something that, anybody listening to this is really interested in looking into, I'll drop a link in the comments for that, and you can go and check it out. Just for, I really love it just for the fitness. They do sell supplements and things, which are not, I've seen much better quality and with some other supplements, which I require in my program. So, but I share about that, like once you apply and you can see what it is that makes, such a difference. But let's go back to Carmen's program here. So, one of the things that we teach on, so you did the 6 months with her, and then afterwards you still had a group, your group that you went through the transformation with. And some people stick with it, some people don't. And one of the things that we really teach on is how who you hang around with affects your mindset. So if you have
Mm.
people that are really on board and they start to go back to old habits, guess what happens? We start feeling like that pull back to our old habits. So at some point, we have to say, okay, I still have this goal over here, because you didn't get to your goal weight in Carmen's program, right? You made
Right,
substantial strides, but in this you need a little more time. And so you realized that in order to keep going towards your goal, and change, like go for who you're changing into who you're becoming, then you had to find ways to keep moving forward and find other people that were still going to be, working through these things without distraction. So you started looking out for some different programs that we were starting after like you mentioned, Wendy and me going through Carmen's program. And like right at the beginning of Carmen's program, I had already seen others that were doing so well. I send some people to my coach because she's amazing. But we also coach a slightly different program. So this is where I started with Carmen. And because of the success that we were seeing with so many people, I started a test program within the first few weeks that I was in my program. And I invited Wendy to join me to also like do this test program to coach a couple of other people. And so that was in January 2022. So I'm giving you a little backstory behind, what these future programs are that Mom experienced. So we had a similar layout. The biggest transformation, Carmen's program, is on YouTube. So you see people going through it every day and stuff. So it's really public, which is part of what is the accountability system there. We don't do it on YouTube. We're a little more private, and some of our topics are a little different. So we didn't duplicate it exactly. So if you went from one program to the next, you would see some definite differences there. So we had a similar layout, but what you do is you're working through mindset changes while working through all the other things that go with this program. So while I was going through the program and going through my own mindset changes and trying to help others to go through theirs, it was a challenge for me. It was a good experience, but I needed a little more experience myself and work it through a little more before I could actually do some serious coaching. So Wendy and I both ended up co-coaching and solo coaching multiple short-term and long-term programs, including one of my favorites called the 10-day Rev Up. It's only a 10-day program, something that people just get started on and they can repeat every month. And I'll tell you a little more about that. These programs are all transformation type programs that are similar to what we saw so much success in. So I'm now coaching, as Mom mentioned, my program is called Body by Design. And if you aren't aware of what we do here, it's an incredibly effective coaching program that includes a balanced food plan that it was created by a nutritionist and approved by multiple doctors and all these things. So it also includes fitness, it includes live mindset coaching, and a group that helps you to see that you're not the only one who's ever felt the way that you did about your weight and gone through the things that you've gone through, some of the thinking that and experiences that we've had. You're not alone. And so it feels really great to see, okay, I have a group that understands me and I can understand them. We can relate somewhat and we can work through this. Because when you feel like you're the only one who is just hiding in a hole experiencing these things, it's really hard to make progress. So this program is completely transformational, 6-month program with a 100% success rate and a maintenance plan. So mom mentioned like, I did all these diets, but I didn't know how to maintain, right? We have a maintenance plan that feels like you get to live, right? So it's not like you're restricted. Even the balanced food plan, you don't feel like super restricted or anything. You don't cut out any food groups. So, all right. So there's a little bit of backstory. Mom, you participated in one of the short-term programs after Carmen's program. You came into the 10-day Rev Up and you did it 3 months in a row. This program is somewhat similar to our transformation programs, but it's targeted at reducing inflammation. So we modified the plan to remove some of the more inflammatory foods. We added in our a really excellent product called Ningxia Red, and this Ningxia Red really helps to really balance some things out in your system, so that between the whole program in itself, you are reducing a lot of the challenges that most people have with with their health. So at this 3-month point in this program, you were considered a Rev Up rock star. And this whole experience was from January 2024 to April 2024. So tell me about that experience. It was definitely different from what you've done before. What did you like most about it?
Well, I had used Ningxia Red
Uh-huh.
before, but not to that extent. And for 10 days, we were required to have 10 ounces of Ningxia Red every day. Oh, wow. I just felt so lifted up and good things happening in my body, plus uh, having all the gluten cut out.
Mm,
So that's with breads, certain grains, and cheese, well, dairy.
mhm.
And wow, that first month, the 10-day thing I did, I got rid of at least 10 pounds and I felt great. And I was like, I'm doing this every day. So I tried, but then I start missing things. And I'm like, well, I can have it, my dairy and different things on the regular program. So,
Right.
yeah, I really enjoyed that. I loved y'all's coaching every day and new interesting things, the videos you'd share. That was wonderful.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, we enjoyed doing that. So we did go into that. It was like a Facebook group, and we went in. There were several of us coaches in there. Twice a day, we would do a short coaching video, and we did that for about a year and a half. And now I do have that program in a vault on my website, so anybody can go through the 10-day Rev Up. All you need is your Ningxia Red, and you'll definitely, like mom said, notice a difference in your energy levels. And a lot of people notice that they sleep better, their digestion improves. There's just so many great things about the program, and also just seeing how your body feels by like getting rid of the gluten and getting rid of sugar especially. And a lot of people are sensitive to dairy, so it removes these inflammatory foods from their lives and they start to just heal. So that's really great. One of the things about that program, like you mentioned, that you were kind of like, and then you weren't sticking with it as much, is that it doesn't offer the same level of accountability as our transformation programs, where you really are kind of held to, you're held to a little higher standard, little higher level of commitment, right? So, okay, so after that, then you joined one of the programs that I co-coached with Wendy Clayton on last year from April to October 2024, and you lost 35 pounds in there. You had new, excited people in there ready to change their lives. So, how was this experience for you?
It was really good. the chemistry with the people meshed with my chemistry. And there were some ladies there that really stuck to it and wanted the best. Now, some ladies, it just depends on their season in life. They weren't ready to. And I find that I need to be around highly get goers that want to get going. So
Yeah.
it's encouraging to me.
The people you hang around with do make a difference in
Hmm.
mindset and everything. It definitely affects anybody, any human.
Hmm.
So this one of the things I was hesitant about with this program that I co-coached in was having my mom join me, join us in the program. Because coaching, when you coach a family member, it puts you in a position of authority, and so when you're in this position, putting yourself into a position of authority over a parent feels totally like not great. It's a little bit like, okay, I don't know that I can do that so well. So co-coaching with Wendy helped, because then Wendy could talk to you about anything that she felt that needed to be um, you know direct about.
Addressed.
Yeah, yes. So how did it feel being coached by your daughter?
Well, I've got a lot of respect for you, and you're pretty smart, and you know a vast amount of stuff I don't know. I know a vast amount of stuff you don't know, but I needed to know what you know. And humility plays a big part in our lives. Um, I want to grow.
Yeah.
So, and you've got a way about you that our chemistry is good. And I appreciate you.
Oh, well, that's a blessing to me to hear that. So, okay. So then, talking about being coached by your daughter, then I went ahead and started my own Body by Design program. And this was, I mean, it's a same, very similar transformation program. So this was your latest milestone from October 2024 until this January 2025. Resulted, it was only 90-day, short 90-day program, resulted in 12 pounds of weight loss for that one. And you're getting very close to your goal. But beyond the scale, you've achieved so much. So, can you share how your health has improved just in this last 90 days in that program?
My A1C, they took it October of 2024. It was 5. And my doctor's like, I can't believe this. And and she was a medical doctor. And then the holistic healing lady that I go to see, she says, "Do you realize that you are just 1% of those that ever turn around and do something with their lives? Others are just complacent and they give up and they'd rather whine about it than get their behind in gear." And again, you helped me to get in Wendy's in your program. You helped me to get in this other. Had I not got in this last 12-week thing, I probably, well, let me put it this way. When I got into Carmen's group, uh, it was head knowledge. And I had a bad attitude, like, girl, you know how old you are. You know how old I am. Well, I know that has nothing to do with maturity, but uh, it was head knowledge. And so I was in my head a whole lot, but I still had a lot of bad habits. And then Wendy's and your program together, it's like it started going into my heart.
Mm.
And this last time, uh, it started clicking. Like, this isn't so hard. If I want to do all these things that God's whispered in my heart, well, why not? Why not do these good things? And along the way, the people I love the most in this world and the people God brings in my heart, in my life, can get their acts together too and live their full life. After Noah's Ark, God promised mankind 120 years. I got 50 more years if I so choose. And I may have just completed maybe 10 things He planned for me before the foundation of the earth. But those others, I have 50 years to do them. And there are gifts that He gives us before He asks us to, or He tells us about His new plans. I don't want any of those gifts gone unopened. And all the crayons that He gives me, I I plan on gladly putting at His feet and saying, "This is for you."
That's powerful. I just love it. It's almost like this last 90 days. You said the first was head knowledge, the second was what did
Heart.
you, it was heart, and this is almost like it got down to the soul level for you. Oh, I love it. Wow. So there were some really big things that came out of this last 90 days or so, right around that time. One of the things was that you were told that you're no longer diabetic.
Yes. I was on metformin, Januvia, another one that started G when I first started in 2005 that made me throw up.
Oh
Um,
man.
then Byetta
Mhm.
injection, and then Ozempic. And I thought I could get off of that. But the lady that did the holistic coaching said, just take it slow. That stuff has side effects and it's very addictive. And just give it 6 months. So I have a few more months to go, and I'm going to just do like a half of 1 mg. What is that, millimeter or
Milligrams,
microgram?
yeah.
Or
Milligrams, yeah. Yeah, so jumping right off of medications can be a little bit disastrous. And we did see that in your 90 days. You probably would have lost more weight, but there was a peak and just trying to adjust the medications, which is okay. That's part of the process. Just like we're gonna, you know, take it slower. And you learn that. So, yeah, one of the things that you mentioned was, for people just making excuses and whining and all of that sort of thing. So many people, we know that we want to make the progress, but we don't know how. And that's also something you mentioned is like, yeah, you can be stuck in that whole mindset. And that 1%, that's about part of that is about finding the right direction, having somebody to show you how to get there. Like you don't even know you're making excuses and still until somebody is showing you like you do have another choice, right? So that's what you've learned so much in this process, what I've learned in the process. So another thing that you had mentioned to me directly was that you used to have fibromyalgia, and you were diagnosed with osteoarthritis. Do you have fibromyalgia anymore?
no, none of the symptoms. It
That's
just kind of, I just kind of realized it after about a year. Wow, I don't have that anymore. And that was really bad. The pain, just,
Wow.
yeah.
I
And the
remember.
osteoarthritis uh, in your joints.
Mm,
Uh, Now that I don't have so much weight on this little body, I'm 5'2", and it doesn't hurt that much. I mean, I take different supplements, real healthy ones with no bad side effects. And I do my routine. I get the sleep I need, and it all works together.
right. Yeah. So also inflammation is a big cause of osteoarthritis,
Yes.
and fibromyalgia is inflammation of the nervous system, really. So once you start to remove the inflammation from the body, the foods and everything that we put in that cause the inflammation, reducing your medications and just so many different things, it's amazing. I mean, I've never heard of somebody saying, I don't have fibromyalgia symptoms anymore. I have no more pain. I mean, other than, some of the slight that in the osteoarthritis that's been reduced dramatically. So I have another question for you. And this is one like when people look at some of these programs, they're like, I don't want to spend the money or whatever. Have you noticed financial savings just from the result of improved health?
Oh, yes. Especially when we were on the fast food diet. That stuff costs so much money.
Yeah.
Um, and then I don't have to have as many healthy supplements. And sure don't have to have the prescription drugs, even
Mm,
though at University Health, they're wonderful. Um, they help my husband and I, and uh, to to be able to think clear enough now to get all my ducks in a row, my house in order, the finances. And
mhm.
I don't know if I should mention that program I'm excited about and getting into now.
We don't want to distract. We've been mentioning lots of
Okay.
programs, but it is an excellent program. Yeah. So, okay, so what other things? So cost of food, fast food, restaurant food, maybe. What about heating and air condition or just AC?
Yes, you guys had to bring your Eskimo outfits over to my house, especially my little granddaughter, Taylor. She was just a tiny little thing. And I'd want you to spend the night while you tried and stuff, but it would freeze you out. I had it down to about 65, and the
Mm,
electric bill was so expensive. Now we saved on the heating bill because we didn't turn the heat on in the winter. But now I get cold at 70 for sure.
wow.
So
Well,
we
AC
keep it,
costs a lot more than heat for you, right?
yes.
Hmm.
So, and then the brain fog was so bad, I couldn't find stuff I knew I had, or I thought I had, or I was
You buy it
dreaming I
again.
had. And you have to buy it again. So you end up with so many of one thing that gets, yeah. So, yes, I've saved a lot of money, and your dad is very happy. Your daddy Butch.
So yeah, so you've made some investments in coaching programs, in supplements, and I guess that's about it. It's just coaching programs and supplements. So was the investment in your health worth it?
Yes, what is it that everybody says and doesn't quite understand unless they've been boots on the ground? If you don't pay for good health now, you're going to pay so much more later for bad health. And the quality of your life is going to be at a standstill and sick and miserable while you're dying for however long it takes. Uh-uh. Golden years are golden years. And I'm hoping that Daddy Butch will get on uh, on this ride with me so I can enjoy him the 50 years I have left. But if
Mhm.
not, I'm going to enjoy my life and do everything God wants me to do.
Oh, that's so wonderful. Yeah, we can't make anybody. We can do what change their minds about things and change their lives, but we can always be a good example and just trust that they'll make a choice when they're ready or not ready, and we get to just accept that. It's their choice. They get to make the decision. So, Mom, thank you so much for your incredible sharing your incredible journey here. I know it's going to inspire so many others who are struggling with their weight and their health. If you now the whole this whole journey, I know like we touched on FAA, we touched on the biggest transformation, the 10-day Rev Up, and then the other two transformation programs with me and Wendy and the Body by Design. So I'm continuing to develop Body by Design to make it very accessible for people in different ways that have different schedules and things like that. And just innovating so much. I know a lot of what I've implemented into this program, even in this 90 days, has been a little bit different from the other ones that you've been through, right, Mom?
Yes. But you know what? For me, each one of them
Mhm.
came at the exact perfect time. I was able to grow from each one.
Absolutely.
And yeah, this last one, I guess because my spirit was so full, my soul was so changed along with my body, and emotions. Uh, I love that one the best, but I had to have all the other stuff first.
Yes, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to just share your whole journey because, people may need to start in different places. They may start with my program or they may want to go to FAA first or something like that. But the whole thing is like to keep going and don't give
Mhm.
up. So, and if you in your in your soul, if you just know that something is not working, then it's time to move on. And that's
Yeah.
not giving up, but finding something that works and being consistent with it over time. And as you heard, Mom's journey wasn't this straight like weight loss like this. It was like this, but the overall trend is now, how much do you weigh now?
173.
173 pounds. Isn't that absolutely amazing? And you just have like what, 45 pounds that you want to lose left?
42.
42. Okay.
Well, and then at 130, that's when we start tweaking, and that's where the maintenance program comes in,
Yes.
and my BMI and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah. So and that's something we hold your hand right through so you know where to go and
Hey,
how to do it because that's sometimes the scary part is not having anybody to walk you through it and be there with you. So, okay, so let's go ahead and wrap this up. If you identified with any part of Jewel or my mom's journey and feel like you're at the end of your rope, check out the comments and I'm going to place a link for the Body by Design program. If you have questions about anything else, go ahead and comment. I'm happy to help. We give credit where credit is due. And if you're not a fit for my program, I will direct you to another place so that you can get some help. But you can apply and we'll see, if it looks like you're a good fit. Our next group actually starts on January 27th, 2025. We have one going about every 3 months starting. So if you get in after that point, once we've already got a lot of applications right now, so I'm going through those. And if you don't make it in this one, you can always apply for the next one or join the waiting list. And in the meantime, I can send you to some place to at least get you, rolling with something, because I know how it is to feel like, there's no hope, right? All right. So don't wait. Your transformation could be just around the corner. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you, Mom, so much for sharing your journey with us.